not happy with the cost of the retirement home that you or your loved ones live in.
Well, more and more people have decided to take control of their homes from the companies that traditionally run them. Campaigners want more people to do the same so that they get better value for their retirement money. Here's the BBC's Lucy Shepherd.
Norman Greed is 81, and like thousands of other pensioners, he owns a flat in a purpose-built retirement block. Lately, though, it's not been as relaxing as he'd expected.
I thought we were going to have a nice, quiet life, hassle-free, and I think we all thought the same.
He's one of many pensioners to join a growing campaign against the charges faced by people living in retirement homes. Carlex says people living in 130 developments are involved so far.
And then if Norman and Robin could work through the master list and keep all the...
Here in Somerset, they're spreading the word by leafleting other local properties.
There's no harm in trying.
Well, we're trying, yeah.
With no friends inside this block, there's no guarantee they'll get in. But they're still going to try their luck.
I wonder whether you could let us in. We're delivering some invitations to a meeting.
As soon as they're in, though, they're stopped by the house manager, and they had to leave their leaflets with them.
Meeting for elderly people.
Flats like these are specially designed for those who want a bit more security or support in their retirement. So there are features like an alarm, which is linked to a 24-hour monitoring service. Many developments also have wardens who live on site. And it's the charges for extras like these which campaigners say are too high and quite simply unfair. Some residents have already taken matters into their own hands by taking control of how their building is run through a process called Right to Manage.
Well, we get more control. You just give them, if you're not happy, either pull your socks up, or we're not having that, or we will then move on to another company.
Budgets under new management companies show the savings that could be made. The BBC has seen one where the cost of the management fees drops by more than £5,000 a year, the monitoring system by £4,000 and the insurance by £3,000. Overall, that's a cut of up to £265 per flat. And for an elderly person living on their savings, that can make a real difference. The previous management company involved, Peverel, claims the figures don't compare like with like. It manages around half of the UK's private retirement homes. They're owned by Fairhold. Most of the complaints taken up by this campaign are about these two firms, and both are part of the same group of companies, Consensus, as is the firm running the 24-hour monitoring service. They told the BBC their service charges are reasonable for the support provided, and any fees are set out in the lease.
We don't reject their complaints, we deal with the complaints as they crop up. What we have is we have a small number of complainers. We have as a group something like 70,000 residents who come under our management.
But the Office of Fair Trading is keen to hear from anyone with similar concerns, with a view to launching an investigation.
Well, that little excerpt there from our colleagues on Breakfast on BBC One, of course. Nicholas Schulman is here. He publishes a website called News on the Block, and it gives help and advice to owners of retirement flats. Nicholas, welcome to the programme. I'm assuming that there is something that stops every resident of every retirement home in the country in doing something similar to this and cutting the costs, because the savings are so significant you'd wonder why everyone who could do it hasn't done it already.
Well, first of all, you need to prove that the charges, the service charges, are unreasonable. You can do that on an individual basis, but if you want to go further and, for example, take control of the management of your building, then you would need to have the support of at least 50% of the retirement flat owners.
And should it be assumed that it's always worth it?
No, because if the charges are not unreasonable, then the court is going to find in favour of the landlord.
So just going through some of the practical steps, the things you have to think about then. Checking your lease is one of those. Also the concept of right to manage.
Yes. Let's just make the distinction. On an individual basis, you can challenge the service charges if you feel they're unreasonable. If lots of the charges are unreasonable, then you can gather together and you can seek to take control of the management of your building through the process of right to manage. Or alternatively, right to manage is a no-fault procedure. There's a fault-based procedure called appointment of a manager, and that's another alternative.
Thank you. I know that overlaps a little with what you were saying, but I just wanted us to be absolutely clear on what the ground
And
is.
also thinking about the freehold, purchasing the freehold.
Yes, that's the most extreme option, where you can, again, gather support within your building and make an offer to purchase the freehold of the building. Then you own the freehold yourselves. You have the right to control the management as well.
What happens if you lose?
Well, the risk of going to the Leasehold Valuation Tribunal, which is a part of the court system which hears these types of cases, is that you may find yourself having to pay not only your legal costs, but those of the landlord as well. And that is a very real risk, especially if you're in the minority and you don't want to go to the Leasehold Valuation Tribunal, and you find that you're swept along by the other majority in your block.
Worth thinking about very carefully, no doubt. Nicholas Shulman, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. And if you're going through this process, or you've been through this process, let us know how you got on. working.lunch@bbc.co.uk. Now, the internet has